Kenneth had been accused of assaulting at least 3 different women in the area, but never convicted. Never formally charged, for that matter. Insufficient evidence, the Wakefield police claimed. A small police force comprised of all men, by the way, who found it easier to believe that 3 women had been lying than to accept that they had a serial rapist on their hands. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he would strike again. It was with that thought in mind that something else caught my eye. Something indiscernible at first. Movement, I thought. A figure tall and lanky outside the passenger window, traveling in slow motion. Someone was creeping in the shadows. A man, perhaps, watching me while standing next to a wooden bench at the edge of the street, concealed in part by a decorative lamppost. And all at once, I could feel it. The prying eyes of a fellow voyeur, keen to assess my intentions as much as observe my actions. But as I gave my head a soft shake, the figure disappeared, and I was almost alone again. It was well after 10 o'clock when Kenneth got up from his stool. He tossed some cash on the bar, gave Becca one last look up and down, and headed for the door. It was tough to tell if he was stumbling because he always walked with a limp. He sort of shuffled to his truck, where he sat for a moment, rubbing his gaunt face with calloused hands before starting the engine. I was about to tail him home when I felt it again. An onlooker lurking outside my car, peering at me from the shadows. I scanned over my shoulder, left and right, but saw no sign of activity. Nothing material. A familiar voice spoke to me from the back seat. "He's getting away, Afton." I ignored her remark and narrowed my eyes, hoping to catch a glimpse of this man in shadows. But again, my senses deceived me. I could feel his presence, just as I had several nights before, but I couldn't find him. There was nothing out of the ordinary on the street, just a commercial block devoid of pedestrians, near silent, and dwarfed by an expanse of red brick buildings. The voice spoke again, this time harsher, lower and breathier, like a lifelong smoker with throat cancer. "What are we waiting for? Let's go. Follow him before it's too late." Kenneth had already rounded the corner. I made quick work of catching up, though, making sure to keep my vehicle at least 50 yards behind his. After a few blocks, he turned. That was all I needed to know. That he had gone home, and no one was in danger for the night. She spoke again. "When, Afton? How much longer now?" "Soon." I hadn't experienced true autonomy over my consciousness since adolescence. Well, 17 or so, to be exact. A second Afton emerged that year. A twin sister of sorts. A manifestation of my darkest desires. A relentless cheerleader, in a manner of speaking, who appeared only to me, urging me to obey impulses that most good people can suppress or ignore. I had named her Animus Afton, and the time to give in to her was drawing nearer. She leaned forward from the back seat, her cold breath fanning across the back of my neck, but said nothing. That's because she didn't have to. After a second passed, I glanced in the rear view and the back seat was empty. Animus was gone, but she would be back. Kenneth Pritchard had to die, you see. She and I agreed on that much. But it would be me who would have to kill him. He would be my first, and his death had to be just right.